You wake up believing today will finally be the day everything changes. Before your feet touch the floor, you make a promise to yourself. Today you'll stop procrastinating. Today you'll finish the project you've delayed for weeks. Today you'll exercise, read, learn, and become the person you've always wanted to be. For a few quiet moments, the promise feels real. Then your phone lights up. You tell yourself you'll check one notification, but one message becomes another, one video becomes 5, and before you realize it, the morning has quietly disappeared. By the afternoon your motivation feels weaker, and by the evening guilt replaces determination. As you lie in bed, you repeat the same promise for tomorrow, wondering why your motivation never seems to stay. If you've ever experienced this, I want you to know something important. The problem isn't your motivation. The problem is that you've been depending on motivation to do a job it was never designed to do. An adorable kawaii white cat wearing a beautiful green floral kimono walks peacefully through a bamboo forest carrying a small paper lantern. The lantern doesn't light the entire path ahead. It only reveals the next few steps. Yet the little cat never stops moving. It doesn't complain that the destination is too far away or that the future is uncertain. It simply trusts the next step. Japanese psychology has quietly embraced this philosophy for centuries. Instead of waiting until everything feels perfect, it teaches us to move forward with whatever light we already have. Perhaps confidence isn't something you discover before action. Perhaps confidence appears because you decided to act. Modern culture tells us that successful people are constantly motivated. Every day we watch videos showing perfect morning routines, impossible levels of discipline, and endless determination. It creates the illusion that productive people simply wake up feeling different than everyone else. But neuroscience paints a very different picture. Your brain is designed to conserve energy. Every difficult decision requires mental effort, so your mind naturally prefers familiar behaviors over unfamiliar ones. This isn't laziness. It's efficiency. According to researchers at the University of Southern California, nearly 40% of our daily actions happen automatically through habits instead of conscious decisions. That means much of your future is quietly shaped long before motivation even has a chance to appear. Several months ago, someone shared a story that perfectly captured this struggle. They explained that every Monday they created ambitious plans. They bought new notebooks, downloaded productivity apps, organized detailed schedules, and promised themselves that this week would finally be different. Yet by Friday nothing had changed except the feeling of disappointment. They believed they lacked discipline. The truth was much simpler. Every plan depended entirely on motivation, and motivation always fades because emotions naturally rise and fall. Sustainable progress begins only after you stop expecting temporary feelings to carry permanent responsibilities. The little white cat reaches a quiet wooden bridge crossing a gentle stream. Instead of trying to leap across in one impossible jump, it places one tiny paw in front of the other until the bridge is behind it. The journey looks almost effortless, not because the bridge is short, but because every step is small enough to complete without fear. This is the heart of the first Japanese principle, Kaizen no Hajime, the practice of beginning with the smallest possible improvement. Although Kaizen became famous through companies like Toyota, its deeper philosophy reflects a much older understanding of human nature. Dramatic transformation rarely lasts because dramatic effort quickly exhausts the mind. Small improvements survive because they ask almost nothing from your brain. Modern neuroscience explains why this approach works so well. When a task feels overwhelming, the amygdala interprets uncertainty as potential danger, increasing stress hormones that make avoidance feel strangely comfortable. The larger the goal appears, the greater the emotional resistance becomes. But when the first action feels almost effortless, your prefrontal cortex remains active, allowing rational decisions to guide your behavior instead of emotional hesitation. That's why opening your laptop is easier than promising yourself 3 hours of work. Reading one page feels possible when finishing an entire book feels impossible. Walking for 5 minutes is easier than committing to a full workout. Tiny beginnings bypass the fear that large goals create. The little white cat stops beside a tiny bonsai tree growing quietly inside a clay pot. Every morning the cat gently waters the tree, even though it looks almost identical to the day before. Nothing dramatic happens overnight. No branch suddenly doubles in size. No flower instantly appears. Yet beneath the surface, the roots continue growing stronger every single day. Most people quit because they judge progress by what they can immediately see. Japanese psychology teaches that the most important changes happen long before visible results appear. Patience isn't passive. Patience is trusting in visible growth. This changes the way you think about habits. Most people believe habits exist to produce results. Japanese psychology suggests something deeper. Habits exist to shape identity. Every small promise you keep becomes evidence. Every tiny action sends a message to your brain about the kind of person you are becoming. Read one page and you become someone who reads. Write one paragraph and you become someone who writes. Exercise for 5 minutes and you become someone who protects their health. Identity isn't built through giant achievements. It's built through repeated proof. Research from Stanford University found that people who believe abilities improve through consistent effort remain persistent far longer than those who believe success depends mainly on talent. This perspective, often called the growth mindset, mirrors what Japanese philosophy has quietly practiced for generations. Progress isn't measured by speed. Progress is measured by direction. Even the smallest step forward changes where tomorrow begins. The little white cat smiles as the morning sunlight filters through the bamboo leaves. It hasn't reached the mountain beyond the forest, but it isn't worried anymore. The cat understands that no destination is reached by thinking about every mile ahead. Every destination is reached exactly the same way. One peaceful step. Then another. Then another. Eventually those tiny steps become a journey that once seemed impossible. Once you stop waiting for motivation and learn the power of small beginnings, another hidden obstacle slowly reveals itself. It isn't your schedule. It isn't your lack of discipline. It's the constant noise surrounding your attention every moment of the day. Long before you begin your most important work, that invisible noise quietly steals your focus, and the next Japanese principle shows why creating calm may be even more important than creating motivation. The second principle is known as saijaku, a Japanese idea that represents quietness, not only around you but inside you. It can be felt in traditional tea ceremonies, peaceful Zen temples, and gardens where every stone, every tree, and every empty space has a purpose. At first glance it seems like simple beauty, but underneath it is a powerful psychological system. Your environment is constantly shaping your thoughts. Every notification, every pile of clothes, every unopened email, and every unnecessary object silently competes for your attention. Even when you believe you're ignoring these things, your brain is still processing them in the background. Researchers at Princeton University discovered that visual clutter competes for the brain's attention, reducing focus and making it harder to process information efficiently. The little white cat quietly enters a small wooden room, places its lantern beside a notebook, folds a blanket, closes an unnecessary book, and gently opens a paper window so fresh morning light fills the room. Nothing extraordinary has happened, yet the entire space suddenly feels peaceful. Before beginning your next important task, don't organize your whole house. Simply clear the small area where you'll work. Remove one distraction. Silence one notification. Close one unnecessary tab. Your mind often becomes calmer when your surroundings stop asking for your attention. As the white cat begins writing inside its notebook, something unexpected happens. The room is quiet, yet the mind is still noisy. Thoughts begin appearing one after another. Maybe I should check my messages first. Maybe I should wait until I feel more focused. Maybe this isn't the right time. Japanese psychology reminds us that external silence is only the beginning. True focus is created when you stop following every thought that appears. A thought is not a command. It is only a visitor passing through your mind. You don't have to argue with every distraction. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply returning your attention to the next small action. This leads naturally to the third principle, shuriken focus, inspired by Zen monks who trained themselves to give complete attention to one thing at a time. They didn't practice concentration by forcing themselves to think harder. Instead, they removed unnecessary choices until only one meaningful action remained. Modern life encourages the opposite. We answer messages while eating, watch videos while working, check social media between tasks, and wonder why our minds feel exhausted. Every time your attention jumps from one activity to another, your brain pays a hidden cost. Psychologists describe this as attention residue. Part of your focus remains attached to the previous task, making the next one feel more difficult than it actually is. Imagine the little white cat standing before several forest paths. Instead of running between all of them, the cat calmly chooses one path and continues walking without looking back. That single decision removes confusion. Tomorrow morning, don't think about everything you need to accomplish. Decide only your next meaningful action. Write one paragraph. Read 2 pages. Answer one important email. Give that single task your complete attention for a few uninterrupted minutes. Your brain was never designed to carry dozens of priorities at once. A study from the University of California found that frequent interruptions dramatically reduce productivity because the brain needs additional time to recover deep concentration after every distraction. Most people believe they have a motivation problem when, in reality, they have an attention problem. The less often you interrupt yourself, the less motivation you'll need to continue. Momentum quietly replaces willpower. The little white cat reaches the edge of a peaceful lake where the water reflects the sky like polished glass. It doesn't rush past the view. It simply sits for a few quiet moments, watching gentle circles spread across the surface each time a leaf touches the water. The cat understands that calm isn't created by controlling everything around you. Calm appears when you stop reacting to everything around you. The same lesson applies to your daily life. Every notification does not deserve your attention. Every thought does not deserve your belief. Every feeling does not deserve control over your next decision. The fourth principle is called Ikigai no Ippo, meaning one meaningful step toward the person you wish to become. Many people think purpose is something they must discover before taking action. Japanese psychology gently suggests the opposite. Purpose often reveals itself after action begins. The little white cat kneels beside its tiny bonsai tree every sunrise, watering it with the same quiet care regardless of the weather. Some mornings the tree looks unchanged. Some mornings new leaves appear. But the cat never changes its routine based on immediate results. It acts according to its values, not according to its emotions. Researchers at the University of Rochester found that people guided by intrinsic values show greater persistence and long-term well-being than those driven mainly by external rewards. Before starting any important task, ask yourself a simple question. What kind of person completes this action? Then spend 5 minutes acting like that person. Don't wait until you feel confident enough to become them. Become them through repetition. If this idea is helping you rethink the way you approach productivity, take a moment to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Every week we explore Japanese psychology, mindful living, and practical habits that quietly improve everyday life. Sometimes one small lesson practiced consistently creates more change than years of searching for motivation. As the little white cat continues walking beneath the cherry blossoms, it notices that some petals fall gracefully to the ground while others remain on the branches. Neither is a mistake. Nature doesn't hurry, and yet everything arrives exactly when it should. The same is true for your own progress. You don't need to race toward perfection. You simply need to keep moving in the right direction. And once you stop chasing perfect performance, you'll discover another Japanese principle that transforms mistakes from something to fear into something that quietly makes you stronger.